So we've gone into Optmyzr here. And the first thing I want to show you in the reporting capability is Optmyzr usage. So once you get into the Optmyzr dashboard, some of you will see this link right now already. This is the activity dashboard. If you don't quite see it yet, it'll be rolling out to your account soon, or you can email us and we'll give you a link to go and find it for your account. But the activity dashboard is a way for you to take a look at how actively you've been using Optmyzr and what sort of opportunities you may not be touching on yet. So we're looking here at the last 30 days, and this is the activity for my login, so for my username. So I'm currently a silver user, and this week I earned some new badges. So it shows you what level of points I have. But more interestingly, it shows me how many hours I've saved, as well as which specific tools I've touched. So I've looked at 21 data insights, which is actually quite a nice bump. It's up 2 from the previous period. I looked at 97 one-click optimizations, and the time before that, the 30 days before, I only looked at 37. And it also shows you how many of the tools are covered, because obviously the 97 one-click optimizations, that could have been looking at the same sort of optimization multiple times for the same account, but maybe doing it once a week. And then how many of the optimizations I applied. Now, it also gives you a view into how many accounts I covered. So out of the 28 accounts connected to my Optmyzr, I've gone and done work in 8 of those. And then here are some of the changes I made. So I made 90 other changes, added 1 keyword, updated 2 bid modifiers. And then you can also see a team activity heat map. And this is kind of nice because it shows you when is the team most active. So you can see all of these represent a month. Each row represents 1 day of the week, so you're going to have 7 rows. And then each of these is a week. Okay, so this is going to represent eventually 52 weeks of the year. And you can use these buttons to scroll back and look historically what kind of work you've done in the accounts. So that is a great view. It's kind of a report for internal usage to give you better understanding of who's using Optmyzr the most. And you can also take a look at the team usage. So I've looked at myself now, but if I wanted to see the whole team, we can see that, you know, I'm using it about half as actively as Manas and my colleague Madhurima. So that gives me an indication right there. So that is brand new. Now let me take you over to more of the classic reporting that you would be used to. And what I wanted to show you here are some of the new widgets. And so obviously the way that I've gotten to this page is I've first gone, let me take it through. So I've gone into reporting, I've gone to the report, templates, and designer. And so I need to choose an account in here, so let me quickly do that. So now this is the report templates for this particular account, and then I started a brand new template to show off some of the new widgets. So I just put in the name here, and then I get to the reporting widgets page. Okay, so what I wanted to show are some of the new widgets, and specifically activity widgets. So I just showed you the dashboard of activity across the team. Well, you can also include some of that in your scheduled reporting. Specifically, you're going to find these as an optimization history in the table section. So when you add it to the account, you will see that there's a number of things you can analyze. So how much analysis was done on the accounts, but also how many optimizations were done. So for this first instance here, I'm including how many keywords were analyzed and how many keywords were changed. Okay, what the analysis portion means, that's, for example, how many search terms did we look at while we were trying to figure out the keyword list, so which keywords to add to the account. So even if I looked at 1,000 keyword suggestions, but I only implemented 2 of them, it's still important sometimes to share that with your stakeholders and your clients, that it's not just that I only added 2 keywords, I actually considered 1,000 options, but maybe none of them seemed very good to me. So for some reason, I didn't apply very many of them. So here I've done a keyword activity widget, and then I've added a second iteration of that optimization history widget. And in this one, I'm going to do a budget analysis. Okay, and so what do these look like in the report? Well, you can always do the preview. So anytime you're not sure what it's going to look like, hit that preview button. And so you can see it looks kind of like a KPI widget. How many terms were analyzed, how many keywords were analyzed, and then how many actions did I take based on that. So 5 keywords were added. So those are the activity widgets. Now the second type of widget that I wanted to show you, which is brand new, are the audit widgets. You can find those right here in the audit widget section. So we have two types of audits, one for ad groups and one for campaigns. And you'll probably want to add multiple instances of these because they can do multiple things. So in the first instance, I've used the ad group audit widget to find big ad groups. Now, how do I define a big ad group? Well, it's an ad group that has more than a certain number of keywords. Okay, so I can say it's got more than 20 keywords. Show me the top 5. Those 5 with the most keywords, we're going to rank them by highest cost. Of course, we can customize some of the data columns we have. We can customize the date ranges for the stats that we're going to include. And optionally, we can include a summary table as well as the audit detail table. So what does that look like? Okay, let's go and preview it. So here we can see that 5% of my ad groups, 2 out of the 43, have more than 20 keywords. And these are those ad groups. This is the amount of cost associated with them. And the count, of course, that refers now to the number of keywords in each of these ad groups. So this is a great audit that I could run for a prospective new client. And I could say, well, you know, we kind of believe in not having more than 20 keywords per ad group. If that happens, we tend to restructure things. So here's a list of all of the ad groups that don't meet those conditions. Likewise, of course, you could have done something around ad text. So I could have said, find me my ad groups that are not taking advantage of expanded text ads. So maybe they have fewer than one expanded text ad. And now if I preview this, you would see that there are a number of ad groups in here that don't quite meet those conditions. Okay, the next thing is the campaign audit widget. So at the campaign level, you would look at different structural elements. So here we're looking mostly at extensions as well as negative keywords. So here what we're doing is we're saying, find me my top 5 campaigns by cost that don't have at least 4 site links, which is sort of a minimum that's recommended. So again, if I preview that, now we can see in this account there's 92% of campaigns, 11 out of the 12, that don't meet that condition. And here they are sorted by highest to lowest cost. And I've decided to show 5 of these. Of course, I could increase the number of how many I show. But remember, this is for reporting, so generally we wouldn't show you everything in here. The idea is that you kind of get a sense of it, attack the biggest ones, the biggest opportunity. And once you fix those, you could come back, rerun that report, and then obviously it would show you the next 5 or 10 or 15 most important ones based on the highest cost. So those are some of the new widgets we have. Next, what I want to show you is some of the new visualizations. So here I've gone into one of the default reports that we've just added to everybody's account. So this is the annual report for 2016. And if you scroll through this, you'll notice a few things. So first of all, KPI widgets can now have these nice little icons next to them, kind of making the report a little bit more visually pleasing. So that is an option in the KPI widget to add icons automatically. And we've already picked the icons, so all you have to do is hit one checkbox, and this will start showing up. And then we also have visualizations. So in the past we had pie charts, but now we have donut charts. So these look a little bit more modern. So, so you can add these if you wish. And then if we keep scrolling, you're going to notice we have some bar chart visualizations that are new here. We have some line charts, but in addition to just a simple line chart, you can also do a stacked bar chart. So that's a different way to visualize, for example, segments of something. So these types of visualizations are brand new. These didn't exist in Optmyzr before. So how do you get to these? Well, once again, you want to go to your report template builder. And here we have some of our segment distribution widgets. You would find these right here. So a segment pie chart, for example. Now we're going to have to rename this because at this point this could be something besides the pie chart, and I'll show you how you do that. So you put one of these on here, and so in this case I'm looking at conversions segmented by networks. In the past that would have been a simple pie chart, but now I can choose from different visualizations. So I can say show me a 3D pie chart. Make sure you hit the save button right there, and then you can preview it, and now this should be a 3D visualization. So it's different than a donut chart, different from a pie chart. And if I figure that maybe a bar or a column chart was the right way to approach this, I can do that as well. So just simply change it, we'll preview it, and now you can see that this is what it looks like. So that's one place to find new visualizations. The other place where you'll find some new visualizations is in the segment trend chart. So that's this one right here. So pop that one onto your report. Here we're looking at conversions segmented by different campaigns and aggregated at the monthly level. So here we're doing a stepped chart. So it's going to look something like this. So let me show you what that would look like in the preview. Okay, so that looks like that. Now, if I didn't like that sort of a visualization and I wanted to show it as a column stack chart, choose that option, preview it again, and there you go. So now you see month over month, the different campaigns all stacked on top of each other. So it also gives me a good sense of the overall number of conversions. So quite a few options there to play with as far as new ways to visualize the data that we've had in the past. Now, there are some other ways that we've introduced to make reports a little bit prettier. These have to do with the cover page widget. So the cover page widget is, of course, the thing you find at the very beginning of every report template. So some new options that we've added in here is a full page front image as well as a footer image. So what you will do here is you can upload any of your images. They should be 990 by 1400 pixels. We've already uploaded a couple of samples here. And so all I would have to do is click on the one that I want to use, PPC monthly report, save it. Can also do the same thing for my footer image. This one is 990 by 55 pixels. Again, select it, approve it. And now if I generate this report in the PDF version of this, there's going to be a cover page and there's going to be a footer. So in the preview that you have on your screen, you're not going to see these, but if you actually share the PDF with someone, then that cover page and the footer image will start to appear. Some other things that we've introduced, it's a little bit older, but still maybe new to some people. We have report themes. So this is the color scheme that we'll be using for the report. So generally, you can make this in sync with your company branding and your own colors. And then, of course, we also have logos that you can put on the cover page. So this full page, first cover page, that's a full image that you specify. We also have a secondary page where we list the details about the account. So the stuff that you see here, what is the report title, what's the account name, the ID, etc. On that page, we can put on a logo. And so you would specifically say for this specific AdWords account, what is the logo? So that oftentimes would be the client logo. And then you might have a default fallback logo in case for a specific client you didn't have their logo. And this is kind of the cool thing in Optmyzr. Even though these are report templates that can be reused across many clients, it is still possible to customize each instance of that with a specific logo, so that way it looks really customized to your clients. Yeah, so those are some of the new options that we have. And now, of course, because we have a full page image that we can put in as the front page of the report, you may actually want to hide what we traditionally had as the front page, and that option is available right there. Now, once you generate these reports, and actually I wanted to show you something else first. So a couple of other more advanced options for the report builder is to automatically increase all the cost numbers in the account by whatever margin you charge. So if you as an agency charge 10% of spend to your client, and you automatically want to reflect that 10% additional cost in your report, you could use a custom field, but it's actually much easier to use our little feature here, which is called margin and then a number. So in the report title, if you put in text margin and then some number, that means we're going to apply that factor to all of the cost values across tables in the report. So that's quite nice, because now you could say margin 110, and we automatically increase every piece of cost by 10%. And so what the client sees is how much they actually pay, including the fee they pay to the agency. So that's one advanced capability. If you can't remember that, this is all included in our help center. This is the help center that we have. So just look for margin in reporting, and you should find that article. We also have an advanced capability as far as including date ranges in reports. So in some of our pre-built reports, we've already put in the date ranges, but what you'll notice is you actually do have quite a bit of flexibility as far as how date ranges get represented. So there's a very specific format for it, but hopefully we've made it relatively easy by showing you a couple of examples. So if you just wanted to include the month and the year, you would include something like this, SD1 colon MMYY. Now SD1, that refers to the start date of the range. So the starting date of date range 1. SD2, that means starting day of date range 2. And obviously you can have multiple date ranges across your reports. What I'm referring to is this, right? So in a report, you're not stuck to just a single date range. So DR1, DR2, DR3, DR4, all of these show up here. So if you wanted to include the starting date of date range 1, you'd say SD1, and then the special notation to pull out the month and the year in the format that you wanted. So all of that, again, is included in the Help Center. So take a look at that, and that will make your reports look a lot nicer. Okay, so anyway, once you are ready to preview this report, typically you've had it on the screen like this. So again, I've kind of loaded up here the annual report as an example, but we've added a new option here. So now you can go into landscape mode. Landscape mode doesn't look too dramatically different on most browsers, especially on a laptop screen like this one, once you first load it up. But if you go and download this now as a PDF, you will actually have a landscape-based report. That is very nice for you to include in a slideshow, for example. So if you're going in to present your findings on a PPC account, that PDF, because it's now in landscape format, lends itself really well for showing it on a projector during a meeting that you have. And in fact, we will very soon be launching a slideshow mode, in which case all of these pages and all of these visualizations will have a slideshow mode. So there will be a button to go to the next slide, the previous slide. We will have navigation between the slides. So it'll look really beautiful in the full page mode. But right now you can already achieve that with a landscape PDF download that you can do. Of course, if you have clients in different languages, you can change languages right here. If your language is not on this list, just shoot us an email and we'll try to get it on there as soon as we can. Now for our Pro Plan customers, there are a couple of additional capabilities. So throughout the report, above every visualization, you can actually type in some notes. So now you can start to explain to the client what all of this means. While we don't make it totally obvious to see, but you can actually use keyboard shortcuts to make stuff bold, italic, and so that's Control B and Control I to make it either bold or italic. And so that way you can point to what's happening. Once you start adding some notes, be sure you save this as a report snapshot. Once it's a report snapshot, we create a container with all of the data, and now you can share that around with the rest of your team. Everybody can add their comments, kind of collaborate on that, and then eventually you can send it to whoever it needs to be sent to, either as a PDF download, or you can do it also as a link to the report, and that's also for the pro level customers. So those are some new ways in terms of sharing the report. Now, the most common way that we see people sharing a report is through a schedule, and we've made some changes to this as well. So to remind you, so after you've generated the report, you can schedule it from right here. This is how that box pops open. So what you do first is you tell us the frequency. So if you want to send it monthly, keep in mind you're not limited to a single day. This is actually a multi-select box. So I can send it on various days of the month. Personally, I recommend you don't send it too soon in the month so that you give the report enough time to collect all the data. And that's not an Optmyzr thing. That's simply because conversions sometimes take a few days to get through the system, especially if you're using Google Analytics. And so if you report at midnight on the first day of the new month, you're basically not giving the system a lot of time. You're not giving AdWords a lot of time to capture the true picture of what has been done in the month before. So anyway, you can set the schedule. Now you can also choose the report format. So if you're a pro level customer, you can do an interactive link. Otherwise, you can do the PDF. But one much requested feature is naming of the PDF. So now you can actually give it a custom name. So you could even name it something like agency name, and then dash account ID, and then date. Okay, so that's what the PDF would look like. Just like before, you can add in who's going to receive it, subject line, and description. And a really cool new setting is an ability to not send a report if it fails a certain condition. So if my conversions were less than 10, maybe my boss or my client is not going to be very happy. So rather than me sending the report automatically, actually just send an email to me to let me know there was an issue, and then I can deal with that before the report goes out to the client. That would obviously be unpleasant if the report went out by itself and you hadn't realized it wasn't meeting a certain condition. So that's how you can update that schedule. So there's that, and then the final thing that I wanted to take people through is a look at multi-account reporting. So multi-account reporting, that lives somewhere completely different. A lot of reports open here. So, okay, here we go. So in reporting, go to multi-account reports. If you're a Pro Plan user, if you're not a Pro Plan user and you want to try this out, just send us an email. We'll upgrade you for a couple of weeks so you can play with all of this. But go into multi-account reports, and then what I've done in here is I've already opened one of the multi-account report templates. Now you'll notice this looks very similar to single account report templates, and really the key difference is that instead of having campaign selectors, you have account selectors. So here I've already gone ahead and added 3 different account selectors, where the first one is actually a Facebook account. I can also add AdWords accounts, you can see those here, Bing Ads accounts, and analytics accounts. And so I can add as many of these as I want. There's no limits. I can have multiple AdWords accounts on one report. I can also put on some Bing accounts. Just add on as many as you need. Obviously, you might want to have different date ranges to make the report a little bit more interesting. And you still have the ability, by the way, to report on different segments of the same account. So if I wanted to report on the original test account and the whole account, but that same account and then a subset of it, for example, everything that had a label called dashboard, this is how I would do that. So I have 2 selectors for the same account, but they have different campaign scopes. And then many of the widgets you're used to seeing, they're still in here. For each of these widgets, you will now just simply specify which account and which campaign scope we're doing it for. But we also have a couple of newer widgets, right? So Facebook is brand new to our platform. So here's a Facebook widget that I've put on. So I select my Facebook account, and then I can select from a huge number of different metrics and segments and everything that Facebook makes available. So as you change to different report types, of course, those options will change, but all of that will then come out in a data table that will look something like the following. So we'll preview that. So we're connecting live to the Facebook API right now. And we didn't get anything back for that, so I had some data before, so we'll see in a second what was happening with that. But we also have some multi-account widgets, and so those are generally marked as multi-account in the name, so multi-account KPI and a multi-account summary. So a multi-account KPI widget, it's very similar to the KPI widget that you're used to on a single account report, with the exception that we're aggregating the data from across multiple channels in this case. So here we're combining Facebook cost with Bing cost with AdWords cost and showing really the grand total of how much this particular customer has spent across all of those channels. So it's nice to have that high-level widget at the top right there. By the way, this is the checkbox to show icons on that page, right? So if you wanted the more visually pleasing icons to make that report pop a little bit, all I had to do was check that box, and now it looks a little bit prettier. But you might also want to know the breakdown. So how much did I spend between Facebook and AdWords? So what I've done here is I've selected a couple of AdWords accounts, one of my Facebook accounts on a multi-account summary. And when I preview that, you're going to notice it's now a line-by-line breakdown of the different parts of cost. Okay, so that's how all of that comes out. So with that, of course, you can save it. And we've recently also added scheduling to multi-account reports. So if you don't see that and you need it, just drop us a note to the support team, and we'll go ahead and turn that on.